The young generation needs arms for its marches and sit-ins. We have psychedelic shotguns, grenade necklaces, rock and roll weapons, mystical weapons for Buddhists, Jews, and Christians.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Directors Club podcast. I am your host, Jim Laskowski, and I am honored and overjoyed to welcome two very special guests to the show today, both of whom are long overdue for a conversation with yours truly here, since I'm a huge fan of everything they do. First up, we have a podcasting superstar, host of the Projection Booth, who has been kind enough to have me on that particular show. Welcome, Mr. Mike White.
Hola, thank you so much for having me on. So honored to be here, Jim.
Me too. We have a lot to discuss. And speaking of superstars, one of the best writers, film historians, commentators, all around coolest human beings to talk film and music with. I am thrilled to finally have a follow-up conversation with the one and only Heather Drain.
Thank you so much. No, this is a huge pleasure on my part. And to pair me with Mike, good gravy. The check's in the mail, Jim, but don't you dare cash it. I'm a writer. Are you kidding? Never cash a check from a writer.
I hope the universe doesn't implode with the both of you on. Like, it just might be like overwhelming, right?
Maybe it's what this world needs.
In the best way. Yeah, maybe this will bring world peace. I don't know.
This world needs an enema, and Mike and I are very happy to provide it.
Yeah, a cleansing of sorts, perhaps.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll see. So what brings this specific crew here to the show today? Well, let me just start by saying that the moment my dear, sweet, lovely fiance, Sharon, sat me down last year and said, "You got to watch this movie." And I said, "All right, what is it?" And she's like, "It's called The Holy Mountain." I'm like, "Oh yeah, I've been meaning to watch this for quite some time." And I was not prepared. I mean, I've seen all kinds of movies. I've seen all kinds of experimental films. I certainly have seen my fair share of things that I would say are unconventional and outside the box, but I found myself profoundly overwhelmed in the best way. I mean, again, like I just watched it again this morning, and I feel like, I probably will watch this, I don't know, a dozen more times before I depart this earth. I don't know if that, I mean, maybe more, who knows? It's just a matter of because there's so much going on, and that's true of the majority of his work, but he's also a complicated figure that we'll touch on, and there's so many ways to go. There's so many directions we can take this in, but we are focusing on The Holy Mountain and Santa Sangre. Obviously, El Topo or any other of his other works can come up later on. But yeah, I again, it was, he's been a blind spot, and I'm so glad that's no longer the case, because I've seen his three most essential films, and curious to see his others.
What to make picture? Why I am making picture? I am making picture to earn money. I am an industrial. Well, it's good to. Money is not happiness, but without money there are no happiness. And then, okay, if God sends you money, you open your pocket, no? But I don't want that. I don't want to make a show for the person who are nervous in order to relax 2 hours, no? Eat a lot of popcorn and then go to the street? Is that what I am doing? Why to do that? What is the meaning of the art? What is the goal of art? The value of art is to heal. To heal, because our society, not you, our society is ill. And then we want to change the world. But how to change the world, this immensity? We cannot. But as artists, we can start to change the world. That I can start in any moment, anything. In this moment, I can start to live. Here, in this moment. In this moment, I can die and start to live. In this moment. In every moment. And why I need to be alive is in order to give to the world something rich, nourish, something who help the person not to escape of ourselves, but to remember yourself.
Let's just start with Mike, though. What was your first experience seeing a Jodorowsky film, and was your mind blown just like mine was last year?
My mind was definitely blown. I'm trying to remember which was the first one. It might have been El Topo. Now, it's interesting because Santa Sangre was the easiest one to see for the longest time.
Right.
And probably still is. And it was very tough to see El Topo and the Holy Mountain and Fondo Elise and everything else for quite a while. I mean, Tusk is still pretty much unavailable, which I think is a good thing. But I think it might have been El Topo, which I saw a VHS copy from a Japanese Laserdisc. So it had Japanese subtitles on it, and also the Japanese like to blur nudity. So there's a scene where there are some soldiers that are doing some bad things to some monks, and that was very blurry. Let's just put it that way. But yeah, no, all of his things that I've seen are always just such a, I don't want to say pleasure, but they are a pleasure because he's just so out there, and I just love these movies so much. And I love a good wild Western, and that one really was, it was just so amazing. And then, yeah, like I said, Santa Sangre, I can't remember if I saw that one first or not, but that one, it's amazing just how normal that movie is compared to something like The Holy Mountain, but it still has just so many great things going on in it. And I love his use of outsiders. I love the circus themes that come up time and again in his movies. And you just feel just that, the frustration with the world, but also the joy with the world as well.
Oh, that's a great way to put it. Yeah, because like even watching, as you even posted on Blue Sky yesterday, Mike, I was like, oh, some of these things that he's bringing up and some of these images and some of the things he's saying, about imperialism and, so many themes that we're going to touch on are still true today.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of scary when you go back and watch a movie from many, many years ago. Yeah, his anti-imperialist, anti-colonial themes, they still hit home.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
In a major way. But yeah, and so Heather, what I know you've been a fan for quite some time, and according to Bill, he would consider you an expert as well in the world of Jodorowsky. So that's why he told me you got to have Heather on. I'm like, of course I do. I know I do. So I'm glad you're here.
We always love Bill, and that's very kind of him. I will do my best. I first got exposed to Jodorowsky and want to say 15, 16, getting Jay Hoberman's Midnight Movies book.
Oh, yes. Seminal work. Wow.
Absolutely. One of my Bibles. I have like a handful of film books that just helped kind of just further just break my teenage brain in the best of ways, and that is in the top 3, along with Research's incredibly strange film book and Pete Toombs' Immoral Tales. Though Michael Wilden's Psychotronic Video Guide is also right there. But
sure.
So I was curious. Of course, speaking to what Mike was just saying, though, for a long time it was not easy to get these movies. We are so. And I love it. We are so spoiled in the age we live in. And that is not a complaint at all, because there was a time, especially in the 90s, where there were so many films you'd read about and you're like, I'll probably never get to see this.
Right.
And miraculously, and this is so weird, the blog of all video stores and I'm not a Blockbuster fan, but the one in Fayetteville, Arkansas at that time had somebody cool on the inside that was putting tapes on there that I know were not vetted by Blockbuster corporate, because they had Begotten.
Wow.
Yeah. And El Topo showed up, and I immediately was like, what? I had to rent it. I rented it, and not unlike Mike's experience, it was clearly a bootleg, and there was optical fogging, which is that really, for any Westerners, for a long time. I don't think it's the case now. I could be wrong, but for a long time, in film in Japan, you could show all kinds of crazy things that would be pretty much victim to a censor here, or even in Europe. But pubic hair was the big, that's a big no-no.
God forbid. Oh,
yeah.
No.
Yeah. Not the pubes. Oh my God. But also the copy they had was in black and white.
Oh, really? Wow.
And I just couldn't focus. I could not focus. And I think I just knew, I'm like, this isn't how I'm supposed to see this. And I look back on it now, and I'm like, I don't think it was supposed to how I would see it, both visually, but also I think I was just not in the right frame of mind, because I was a kid, I was a teenager. And El Topo is a film that means everything to me now. But it was Santa Sangre that was my gateway drug. And I remember to a T finding it uncensored, because ironically, the Blockbuster in Springdale had it. They had the R-rated cut. This is why nobody should have nostalgia for Blockbuster. They killed a lot of mother and pops stores, a lot of independent stores, and they only carried censored versions of the movies, unless you were in Fayetteville and there was somebody who I wish I'd been friends with.
Yeah, I could tell you stories about us having to go through and pull so many videotapes that were out on the shelves. We would get directions from corporate, and the weirdest things, it'd be like, okay, yeah, you've had Blood Feast for 20 years or however long on your shelves, but you got to get rid of that now. So good thing I was able to pick those things up for a song. So City of the Living Dead, Blood Feast, all that stuff, they're on the shelf. My shelf.
The Mike White shelf, the best shelf. Yes. Yeah, no, it's Blockbuster was ridiculous. But right across the street, almost right across the street in Springdale, was a video store called Crossroads. Crossroads was amazing. I miss it. They had a huge horror section. They had a foreign film section, which was super cool. Not all video stores had that in this area. And there it was, Santa Sangre, NC-17, or it might have just said unrated, but it was the full, and I'm like, okay, let's go. And that was an experience I'll never forget. And my memory is either amazing or horrible. I don't tend to have a lot of middle area in my memory. But that night, I even remember, and this was something that I unlocked recently, prepping for this pod, is I remembered all of a sudden, as a 17 trying to draw that image of Phoenix, of adult Phoenix, and the black hat and the glasses and the coat. There were so many things in that movie that just opened up my soul and my heart. And then a few years later, finally El Topo and Holy Mountain and Fando Elise, as well as his first short, La Cravate, were available via a box set. And I'd had I'll make this super brief. I know, too late, but
it's okay.
but it was right around Christmas time, and my family and I went to go visit a very toxic, abusive family member who did what she always did. I was traumatized, and my mom was like, "Let's go to Best Buy. You pick out something." And there it was. It's almost like Jodorowsky. It's like the universe. I don't know.
Wow.
And it's further changed my life. I think Jodorowsky, to me, he's almost like the spiritual Cassavetes. He is everything that is truly him, has his heart, his pulse to it. He is not somebody who ever plays you as a viewer as a fool. And especially in matters of spirituality, which is incredibly rare in this life, because it doesn't matter if it's organized religion. It doesn't matter if somebody's a so-called self-help guru. There's a lot lot of people out there willing to exploit your curiosity and vulnerabilities for $1 and for power. And Jodorowsky just systematically, with I think all of his key films, just breaks that down. He's like the Tower. I'm gonna be mentioning the Tarot a lot, because you have to talk about the Tarot a lot with Jodorowsky. I mean, it comes up literally in Holy Mountain, but it plays, his approach to the Tarot plays also in Santa Sangre in a more subtle way. And he takes the Tower card. For anybody who's not familiar, the Tower card is one of those cards. There's a lot of cards of tarot where people are like, "Ooh, it's spooky," and it's not. None of the cards are, you can't read the tarot like that, and you shouldn't. The tarot is basically destruction to be reborn. And to me, that's what Jodorowsky does with his films, is he'll show these systems that have failed us. And sometimes those systems can be an unhealthy family dynamic too. It doesn't have to be.
It even happened to him in his childhood.
Exactly, and even one's own ego and our own bullshit. He takes it and he systematically, just brick by brick, brings the tower down, and that is why I love Alejandro Jodorowsky.
And he even does that with filmmaking at the end of Holy Mountain.
1,000%. And that's why he's so special. Like, he really is, for me, like the real deal. Like, it's hard for me. It's hard to really, suffer too many fools gladly once you've had the real deal, I mean,
that's what I was thinking, even watching this for the first time. I can't imagine being a teenager and watching a Jodorowsky film. I'm pretty sure my brain would melt, not being prepared for that, because like, even to some degree, what, the film as a teenager that kind of changed things for me was Evil Dead 2. And that was mostly just because the camera work was insane, and I never knew a camera could do what Sam Raimi was doing at the time. But in terms of like, just, image by image or themes or ideas or everything you're bringing up that makes him such a phenomenal storyteller. If I had seen the Holy Mountain like when I was in high school, I don't know. It would have been an equivalent of like, I just did the best drug of my life, and now I'll never see the world the same way. So, right. I kind of feel that way now anyway. So, well,
and that's beautiful. And Evil Dead 2 is awesome. Like, that's the that's the beauty of, I think, the film journey. And what all of us do, though, is that as you change and develop as a person and grow, even films you've always been familiar with will all of a sudden hit you different. El Topo used to be my least favorite of the core, what I call the core three, which is Fando Elise, El Topo, and Holy Mountain. And now El Topo it breaks my heart every single time. But I absolutely, and I always loved it, but I was always like, I prefer Holy Mountain. Holy Mountain is my grand poobah, and it's the one I also probably have the least grip on, because I personally spiritually feel like a baby, but I feel like I don't have any tethers to wisdom at all. But
I'm surprised he didn't start a church or a cult.
Yeah.
I'm kind of glad, because I was just reading like all the things that he's done, and I just can't even imagine, like his versatility, obviously. And it's a little sad that like, his filmography is a little limited, but at the same time, maybe dealing with bureaucracy or studios or other people, it wouldn't mesh. Obviously, it didn't at all when it came to trying to make a 14-hour version of Dune.
That story in that documentary, holy cow, that is just one of the best documentaries I've ever seen in my life. And talk about heartbreaking.
I have a pain because I admire David Lynch. He can do it. He's the only one in this moment who can do it, that he will do it. I suffer because it was my dream. Another person will do that maybe better than me. And then when they will show the picture here, I say, I will not go to see that because I will die. And my sons say, no, we are warriors, you need to come and to see that. And then they take me like an ill person. I came to the theater. I start
even I think I will cry and start to see the picture go step by step, step by step, step by step. I became happy because the picture was awful.
And as far as like Jodorowsky starting a church or anything, another thing, one of the earliest interviews I remember seeing with him that stuck with me, at least like video interviews, I should say, not like written, where he literally said, I'm not a shaman. I'm not a guru. Don't, basically don't come to me for that. And that to me made me trust him, because I don't never trust anybody that says I'm a guru, I'm a wise person. Get out of the room. Those people cannot be trusted. If anybody that makes a big production about being a big deal in any form, we see that a lot in government. And because anybody that truly is who they say they are, they don't have to prove it to anybody.
No.
They can just be.
I love that his character in Holy Mountain is this guru for everyone, the alchemist, who is a fraud. I mean, he can turn shit into gold, but he's a fraud. He just basically gathers the worst people in the world or other worlds, worst people in the solar system to try and become immortal. And it's just like, I don't want any of these people to be the people in charge, because they're all horrible. They're all warmongers and capitalist swine that just do not deserve anything good.
Yeah. Well, I just wonder, too, about like how even just his background or, how he grew up sort of shaped him into the artist that he ultimately became, because as we discussed, like his childhood was so brutal, and there's no doubt that like all of his work contains kind of like these fragments of trauma that he experienced. Like his father was abusive, his mother resented him, where he lived, everybody treated him as an outsider. So it kind of makes sense that a lot of his work has this sense of displacement and almost like this identity in flux kind of approach. Like, he can never fully, like just the journey is the destination, or the spiritual awakening that you're searching for in something like the Holy Mountain. It may not be attainable to some degree, and that's okay. Like he comes to terms with it and has an acceptance of that fact. And but like just like he's did so much early on, he threw himself into performance in a major way, like working in a circus and as a puppeteer. Moved to Paris and he studied mime.
Yeah,
there's so many things from his past that obviously helped informed what kind of storyteller and person he became. And then I read, like I said, he was a novelist, a poet, a playwright, an essayist, a theater director, like you name it. He did almost everything in the world of the arts. And I think that's why he feels so like a sense of spiritual connection to the arts. And all that kind of comes across in all of his work too. So it's kind of beautiful. It's just beautiful to think about somebody like him going out into the world and just finding his voice, but using it in so many different ways.
Yeah.
And a movie like The Holy Mountain is just so many different things happening at once that you're kind of not prepared for it, because your brain is almost primed for, like a traditional A to B to C narrative. And this is not that whatsoever.
She can wear her artificial face to the grave. Our makeup department for corpses eliminates the appearance of death. Not only do we beautify cadavers, we also equip them with electronic devices. They can kiss their family goodbye.
Well, and you think about it, like coming from that background that involves like the circus, and coming from a very like poor, a poor childhood, and at a poor town, Jodorowsky's got that working class. Like it's like this, what is considered more lowbrow of that time period than the circus, other than maybe like burlesque. But those two are very interconnected too. Like the dancing women. That's a whole era of carnival that we don't really have anymore. But yeah, that's and then his involvement with being like a founding member of the Panic movement, along with Fernando Arrabal and Roland Topor, two other guys who are vastly different artists, but equally fascinating and have made some very powerful stuff. I just and the fact that Jodorowsky works in surrealism in a way, but every symbol does actually mean something, but it's not pretentious. Like that's right. I think so many people have this view of surrealism where it's either just weird to be weird, which there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I like some Dada. I like some, there's some things I like that are just completely just, like bonkers wildly, but and that's fun too. But with Jodorowsky, there is meaning, and there's always this constant. And Jim, you spoke to this beautifully of him also, I think, kind of digging in deep inside and being like, how to process. What is a way that's a creative way, as well as like a personal, a spiritual way to process damage from the, and he's always been like so honest about that. Because I know people have taken him to task because like there was like an old interview where he, and I don't think he literally was raping anybody on set, but he used rape as the metaphor. And in this day and age where we have, let's face it, leaders have always been rapey. That's nothing new in history. Yep. Nobody needs to forget this, because every time we forget something, we keep getting bullshit. So please, everybody remember history. But this day and age, you obviously you're like, what the fuck? Like, what are you doing? Like, but Jodorowsky didn't mean it like that. But he also said, I had issues with women. And he owned that. He owned his shit and grew from it and learned from it. And that, I think that's the thing, is every single person has, for the most part, I think there's 1% that probably are too far gone, maybe, but if everybody's got room for growth, then that's, to me, like an alternate take of the Holy Mountain with the people he rounds up. And Mike, you're completely right. Yeah, these are some of the worst of the worst. Every single of the core 7 business people and leaders that are rounded up are all problems of the most cancerous aspects of civilization. And yet their whole journey, it's like they're stripped down. They're stripped down of all of the earthly stuff. They're, and this idea, and he's always kind of done this, because like even going back to Fando Elise, which also was based on a play by Ira Ball, like Fando as a character he's at times very cruel, but then you see his childhood, and you're given this gray area. You're given a lot of like kind of gray area with certain characters where, some of them are irredeemably horrible, but then others are like, they're human, and they're messed up. We're not excusing anything, but that's life. To me, that's like that same thing. Two truths can exist, coincide. Somebody could do something really horrible, but also maybe have something within them that doesn't make them a horrible person. Yeah, but that's a hard thing to digest, I think, for a lot of.
I think a lot of people, even just reading, some takes on Letterboxd, are kind of harping on or focusing on, like his portrayal of women isn't the best, and they don't see the growth necessarily that came from him as a storyteller. Or it's like, I could see people, dismissing a lot of artists as like, well, they're kind of just using cinema for therapy, right? And that's all that's their main intention. Whether they sit down and go, well, I just want to deal with what I went through when I was younger in this story, or not. It just I bet it just sort of happens organically, because that usually is what happens when we dream, is like, we're not sitting down to think, all right, it's time to work through my trauma, but your mind will do that for you the moment you hit the pillow sometimes. And I've often even talked with my therapist. I'm like, why did my brain do that to me last night? That was so mean. I haven't thought of that thing in years. And, and yet, like, I feel better for whatever reason. And that often happens with watching a great film and knowing, like, the characters went through a journey, the filmmaker went through a journey, the actors went through a journey, everybody sort of did. And the thing about the Holy Mountain, it acknowledges the journey and how messy it is. And like you said, Heather, beautifully, it does sort of reflect life in of itself in that way. And he treats cinema as this sacred spiritual act that is closer to like a ritual or therapy than just entertainment. And I think that's what makes him so special. And we can start with the Holy Mountain and, just go on about like how brilliant it is. But it's also like, how do you contain this movie in an hour-long conversation? I don't know, because there's so much going on, right?
Oh God! I mean, you could write a whole book alone on the Holy Mountain. Like it can get very unwieldy very quick, which is kind of like the notes I did for this recording. I'm like, I'm just going to kind of stick to the themes, and just sort of the general tenor, because I don't. I mean, first of all, you guys don't need to be wearing diapers because I'm talking. Because I won't shut up. Okay.
Well, also, like, I worry about.
What if I'm already wearing a diaper?
Well, that's because, Mike, you've worked with me a lot.
Okay. All right.
You knew the drain experience.
Well, I also worry about like over-analysis paralysis,
yes.
Like you could just like, all right, let's pause it here. And what does this symbol mean? What do you think he's saying here? Blah, 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 blah. And yet at the same time, I have this instinct to just let it wash over me. Like my first viewing of it was just that. I'm like, all right, turn off that analytical part of your brain and just let it happen. Like if you want to go to hallucinogenic drugs, you can. But I lean more towards the dream side of things because I'm a Lynchian. What can I say?
Oh, we love David Lynch, though.
Yeah, and of course, he loved Jodorowsky, I would think. So
I am not a hater on the Lynch dude. I mean, it's got its flaws, but it was a tampered production. So it's it is what it is. But
there's a lot of things to appreciate about it.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. I love that movie.
I do too. And But the thing with the Holy Mountain, and there's a great supplement and that came with the Blu-ray, and the supplement itself's on YouTube. So if you type in like Jodorowsky tarot, it's going to be one of the first things that comes up. Where because that whole line in Holy Mountain, the tarot will reveal your soul, and Jodorowsky's approach to tarot, I just think is so fascinating because he has always steadfastly said, it's not for divination. Anybody that tries to tell you your future is a con man, Instead, it can reveal a personal story. It can reveal what you were going through in the present. And there's even, like seeing him do like these human tarot spreads too, where he's taking people out of the audience and he's using it as a kind of psychotherapy. And that is fascinating. And especially because think about every single person, for better or worse, we are all products of our environment. We're all products of how we grew up. And that affects but it also affects every single person in different ways. That's why you can have like a really dysfunctional family with siblings, and you'll have a sibling that somehow turned out like fairly together, and you'll have another one that's like on the lam from the law or whatever. Like it can range. But the thing with Holy Mountain is it's like, I feel like with that film, it's like starting with the thief. The thief is the fool. The fool is like the first card of the major arcana. And the fool is not a fool in the sense of being like an idiot or anything like that. It's just that you're an open traveler. You are at the beginning of your journey. And then it's like you basically start off as the fool, and by the end, there's the world. And part of that reveal, and I know there's different takes on this, was my take, and I could be completely wrong. That's the beauty of film, right? Though, I always love hearing different views. It's always weird when people get real anal about like, oh no, it means this. It's like, unless it's the director telling you what it means, calm down.
Right. And sometimes even then, I don't believe the director.
Oh, same.
Oh yeah, that's a biased perspective in of itself too.
Yeah.
I mean, it had this insane, like, unprecedented production process too, where the cast was like spending months doing spiritual exercises and taking LSD, of course. Bankrolled by Alan Klein and the great John Lennon and Yoko Ono, because they saw El Topo and they're like, well, we gotta fund whatever this guy's gonna do next, right?
Oh my gosh, yeah. But it's like by the end, to me, like with the whole, and I've seen people online refer to this as like, oh, this film's trolling me, because of course now we have to use everything in meme language, which I do sometimes too. I'm not a full on hater, but it's like, no, I always kind of took it as like Jodorowsky, who's our alchemist. Jodorowsky emerges as director alchemist, though. At the end, it's like camera zoom back, and it's like we are still prisoners. This is, basically telling us. I feel like the film is like showing us a journey, and now it's like, okay,
what do you do with this journey?
Right.
Yeah,
now it's up to you. Leave the theater and go do something.
Exactly. And it's like he has taken us from the beginning to the world. And I love that so much. And especially because I think it calls out, I think sometimes people just tend to go into film in general, not even like a child, because to go into something like a child, you have curiosity, you have curiosity, you have excitement, you have interest. People go into things just wanting the most simplest explanation with none of the curiosity. And that is which I think is a folly in general with film, because I love what you said. And I always try to do this with anything I watch first viewing of. It's just going into stuff blind, just open, just be an open slate, see what comes to you. Like, because, if you get a little too precious about interpretation before you've even finished a movie or even gone into a movie, then it's kind of like ghost hunting, right? It's like if you go into a house and you think it's haunted, if you say, oh my God, that noise. Did you hear that? Like, it told me to, and it's like, well, but was it really a ghost, or was your mind? You know what I mean? Like the power of suggestion kind of thing. But
well, I even felt like a little conditioned to expect, like, well, this movie's better if you're high, or And I'm just like, no, I don't want to think that way, and I don't want to like have any sort of expectation. And I kind of did and didn't. I'd seen obviously the documentary that we just talked about and referenced with Jodorowsky's Dune, and obviously I knew who he was, and I knew a little bit of his history and everything, but there was like some hesitation to like fully go all in because I didn't know if I could handle it or I would feel dumb. But it's again, like there's some directors that I feel sometimes intimidated to cover or to watch.
Completely.
You don't know if you're going to be able to intellectually process it, and I'm glad that wasn't the case with this one.
There's been a lot of directors where I'm just like, I don't know if I'm ready for this yet. Like I have stayed away from like Tarkovsky for a lot of reasons. Like, I don't know if I can handle The Mirror yet. One of these days, or like even I still haven't seen Persona. Like one of these days, I need to sit down and see Persona. Oh
my God, I feel so good because same. I'm like, it's like sometimes it's almost you get afraid to voice things. It's like, is my street cred?
Yeah, exactly.
But
it's also one of those where I want to see it on the big screen. I don't want to just sit down and watch a shitty video copy of something.
Yeah.
Because we have that, I mean, like you talked about, Heather, like this childlike curiosity. I hope we all walk into a movie theater like that. I always think of that monologue John Goodman's character has in Matinee, where he's just like, basically walking us through what it means to sit down in a movie theater, and I always get like the chills when I ever watch that sequence, because like, that's exactly what it's like. We're kind of going in wanting to be wowed and hoping that like, that childlike sense of wonder isn't gone, because honestly, the way the world is and the way the reality works, like, gotta worry about rent. Gotta worry about war. So,
right.
And it's not like to say, like we should just be focusing on escaping reality all the time either. There should be a nice balance, but it's just, like I cannot wait to see this movie on a big screen. And a lot of it just has to do with, just like this larger than life portrait of this broken world that we're in, and how do you navigate through that? I think is a lot of this movie is trying to talk about.
Oh yeah.
One of the things I love about this movie and pretty much all of Jodorowsky's movies, he never does anything by half measure. It could be like, one of the most striking things to me in this is when the thief wakes up and he sees that his image has been stolen and he is the figure for all of these Christ figures. And it's not just 2, 3, a dozen, 2 dozen. It feels like hundreds of Christs, and it just goes on and on and on. And he does that a lot, where it's just like, it's not just one little thing, it's so many. And just the the design of these things, like that, Heather, you brought up the tower, like the literal tower that's in this movie. I'm like, holy cow, like what's that there already?
Oh god, the visuals in this movie, like, and this is one of the many reasons I think also I get so irritated with budgets with current big, like, major cinema, because it's like the obscene amount where I'll hear somebody, and you guys have heard it too, somebody's like, oh, this film had a relatively low budget, it was only like $2-3 million. I'm like, tell that to somebody who's working 2 jobs to pay rent, like, shut the front door. And these films, and so many of those films don't look impressive. They look like everything else. They're even muted looking, like color scheme wise, because these color, we have to have color grading, and color grading just means everything's just kind of like vamped out, where just somebody sucked out all the color. And where, look at The Holy Mountain, which was like a big budget for Jodorowsky, but it's still not. It's still nothing compared to like whatever's playing at the multiplex right now, and even if you adjust inflation and stuff. And yet there's so much beauty and imagination and Jodorowsky, there's stuff that I don't, because I still like get squeamish, because that's
God, yeah. Throughout all 3 of his films, there are moments where I'm like, ooh, I don't know if I can actually
because there's a lot of animal, like, we'll say Animals in Peril. Now, it's not Cannibal Holocaust levels, it's not that like that, it's not meant to be cruel, and that's something that kind of goes back also to the Panic movement, because the Panic movement would do these live performance arts where they where they have like live chickens and animals, and it
was interesting. I found a review. Well, it wasn't really a review. It was more of a write-up from the New York Times from '73, and the author was just like, I could handle this. I could handle the flies on the face. I could handle the tarantulas on the body. I could handle this. I could handle that. But just all of the animal cruelty was way too much. And I was like, yeah, I understand. But at the same time, I'm like, I'm okay. Like that tree of dead chickens. I'm like, where do you get an image like that? The use of the pig for the lard to wipe down the thief and everything. The seat with the 2 goats. I mean, there is so much when it comes to the animals in this. I'm just like, this is just kind of nature, like when you finally make it into the tower and he's got this Bactrian camel just standing there, or the hippo and the fucking stuff. I'm just like, this is amazing.
The hippo's so cute too.
It's adorable.
I love that hippo. And the hippo's not hurt. Everybody listening, you haven't seen this. This is, again, this wasn't made by anybody making an Italian cannibal movie. So you could find way more egregious examples of animal cruelty in cinema than
100%.
But yeah.
I love the way this film opens, but man, once we get to when they're journeying through the town and those tourists are filming public executions.
Oh God.
I'm just kind of like, that's the moment where I go, this is a true work of art, and yet it's beautiful and it's disturbing. It's like simultaneously, like the execution of the children, and then suddenly the birds are emerging from them. I'm just like, I get emotional just watching that moment all by itself. It's incredible.
Oh God, the whole birds and the chest thing just stays with me just so fiercely. And that's the thing, is Jodorowsky is able to, in all of his key films, show, have that mirror up to show humanity at its worst, at its most debased, violent, cruel. And yet there is always that flip of, well, there's beauty and there's growth, and there are people that are really kind and good people too. Like that's the, one of his most, to me, unforgettable characters. I know we're not really going to El Topo, but like the beautiful, like when El Topo's, had his second act redemption, and he falls in love with this beautiful dwarf woman. And she, as a character, is so, and the actress herself, she's gorgeous. Yeah. Like she has this beautiful face, but you care about her, like you really do. And that's but El Topo is more of a linear story in its own way. Holy Mountain is a journey, and a lot of our characters are more archetypes than they really are full humans. But that's okay, because this film to me is almost like cartography in a way too. It's like cartography of the spirit and the heart, and we go through some rocky terrains literally and emotionally, but that's okay, because even when it's something horrible, it's so beautifully done. And he's also the master of that. Like that's it actually kind of makes his working with like producers and writers like Claudio Argento for Santa Sangre years later kind of perfect, because that's the same thing I've said about a lot of the great Italian horror maestros like Argento and Fulci is, you know, the ability to show something horrible, but it's done in this way that is so beautiful that it kind of messes with you more than if it was just full on slash, you know, or anything like that. You know, you're just like, that's gorgeous. Also, ew. And also, I'm uncomfortable now with how I'm feeling.
Yeah, he finds the beauty in the grotesque. And I again, like, it does feel like, man, this could be a painting, but man, you wouldn't always want to look at it because it's so disturbing. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a lot. I mean, I think he's commenting on that, you know, in some ways throughout this movie, and like, you know, pointing out how religion and sex are commodified, or, you know, just how we basically exploit others. And there's just so many things going on in just one moment that it's hard for your brain to like catch up to it. Like you almost need to take a breath, but also you just want to keep going because it's so this is a movie that doesn't feel long, even if it's 2 hours, right? Like it kind of washes over you, flows by, and you kind of want to experience it again and again because there's so much happening and there's so many amazing things. And I also want to point out, like, there is a real dark sense of humor too, right? It's not just all depressing. And, you know, there's just like moments where you go, I can't believe that giant sex machine thing. Oh, I it's like it. Something, yeah, like it would be Out of Sleeper or whatever, but it's just so beautifully realized that you kind of go, who would think of something like this? And you just want to laugh at just the conception of it, and then you actually see it, what they're doing with it. It's remarkable. It really is.
The art, Clen, I think is the character name. Right. The, sort of the artist, art dealer, where it's like, how many, like, if anybody's ever had a friend who studied art, like the fine arts in college, or there's always like some older guy that is totally a pervert. And but not in a fun way, like not in a cool like Russ Meyer way, where, you know, Russ was very earthy, and he was somehow not sleazy about being sleazy because he was just that great of an artist, but also just he was just very honest. There was no game being played, but yet you meet these guys that it's like, you know, oh, I'm an artist and this is the correct way you do things. Also, I need a bunch of nude 17-year-old models because I'm an artist. You know what I mean? And it's like, oh, do you really need that, sir?
Yeah, there's always one of those.
And so I kind of look, Clint is sort of like a absurdist point where it's like everything he's doing, all of his art is sex obsessed, but not in a way that's kind of like cool or interesting. It's all just very like, it's almost like Mondo Connie meets New York City pretension, you know, like it's like that. Yeah. Like if you've seen those old Mondo movies where there's like a guy that has women put paint on their butts and sit on a canvas, you know. I mean, Clint is not that. I mean, Clint is kind of in that arena too.
Oh yeah. Well, and it's so like, this is manufactured art. I mean, it's just like those landscapes where it was just, they would have so many people painting these landscapes and then they would just chop them up and put them in frames, and it's like, here you go, here's your art, you know. And they show the assembly line of just the asses getting painted. I love it. It's like, this is what you're buying. This is corporate art right here.
Right.
Yeah.
I do have to say, though, the actress playing sort of his main lover, this beautiful blonde leggy, is Ree Styles from the Tubes. I am a huge fan of the rock band, the Tubes. And the Tubes are a very underrated band that played a lot with themes of satire and cultural commentary in ways that they still don't get credit for. Like, it's kind of like Devo went through a period of not being cool, and finally people woke up like, yeah, Devo were the pioneers that got scalped. But in a way, the Tubes had some of that in there too, and they still are not. Probably because they played more with like traditional rock and roll music as opposed to doing something a little more avant-garde sounding initially, like synths are considered. But
they appeared in Xanadu, didn't they?
They did, and they're the best part of Xanadu for my money. But though I do love Xanadu. But the Tubes are also in a 1977 film called Cracking Up, which was like two different comedy troupes coming together.
That's right.
And including like the Ace Trucking Company, and I can't remember the second one, but like Michael McKeon's in there somewhere, and Harry Shearer. So you get to see that is a world away from Jodorowsky, though. But I digress. But I had to mention Rhys Stiles because I love the fact that there is connective tissue between Jodorowsky and the Holy Mountain and the Tubes. There's just something I just find so amazing about that. It's very me too. I think that's why this is me being like my own ego, I guess, or not even ego, but I'm just like, oh my God, two things I love coming together. This is amazing.
It's nice. Yeah.
Well,
so satisfying.
That's what makes us such nerds, but hopefully in an endearing way.
Right.
It's always the goal. It's like, oh, I hope this doesn't come off as, like, woo, that we're kind of, full of it, but no, we're really passionate and we love what we love. But it's just funny you bring that up too, is just like connecting something to your past. When I watched El Topo too, I was like, I know that guy. Oh, it's El Guapo, of course. Right? It's El Guapo from Three Amigos.
That always blows. It doesn't matter how many times I've seen El Topo, my brain always breaks a little bit with that.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, because of course, like a lot of us 80s and 90s kids, Three Amigos was huge. So
and one of your side projects, Mike, is covering the entire filmography of Chevy Chase right now.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know if I remember you not being too crazy about Three Amigos, but I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that I saw that as a kid, and it was just like, it's dumb, but I don't care.
You know what? I have to confess, I haven't seen the Three Amigos since I was a kid. Like, I loved it as a kid too, John. That's one I never. It's strange. There are certain films I liked as a kid that I, as an adult, have no desire to kind of revisit. I don't know if it's maybe just because I know it's not gonna. Some things just are not going to hold up like they do.
I feel that way about a lot of Landis films. I don't know how much passion I have for the Blues Brothers anymore, and I wish I did. But there's just things about. I know. And I'm from Chicago, Mike.
I know.
A lot of backlash as it is,
Don't let the Illinois Nazis ruin your heart. Charles Napier's in it, though. I think we can always have love in our hearts for Charles Napier.
Oh, hell yes, absolutely.
Yeah. No, it's just weird how that happened too. Is like, I'm watching El Topo, a movie I never would have thought in a million years would reference. Or like, at least in my mind, I'm like, oh, there's the actor from Three Amigos again. And he went on to become a filmmaker in his own right, too. So it's just...
Yeah. I've been trying to get a hold of that guy because he's in The Wild Bunch doing an episode about that one.
He's still around. That's right.
He is, yeah.
It's got to be like late 80s.
Where is that book or documentary?
I know, right? Yeah. Because didn't he direct like Water for Chocolate?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. It's just pretty... Oh, and Walk in the Clouds with Keanu.
Yeah.
It's just
it's amazing.
Crazy. What a career, man. Jeez.
Would you say I have a plethora of films in my filmography?
That's the origin of how I learned that word. Of course.
Well, you told me I have a plethora. And I just would like to know if you know what a plethora is. I would not like to think that a person would tell someone he has a plethora and find out that that person has no idea what it means to have a plethora.
But back to Holy Mountain, of course. It's again like it's funny once we get to meet everybody there, and that's in the pilgrimage section, if you want to call it that. It's kind of it made me think of the Monkey's Head, and it's not just because of the time and place, but just the subversive culture and just the ideas that he's presenting there. I'm like, how did Frank Zappa not get involved?
Zappa was always a teetotaler. Like, he's what we would almost call, other than for having, like, I think the occasional beer, he was straight edge. Zappa was kind of straight edge before straight edge.
That's true.
Like,
you're right.
That's part of the reason the GTOs aka the Girls Together Outrageously, the groupie rock band that he assembled, which were amazing. Well, the reason they ended up disbanding because, you know, one of the girls got into drugs. Frank had no, you think about with Zappa's compositions too, he was so exact. You can't be messed up and being able to play that. Like Zappa was very about being, I think, organically freaky, which is, I love Frank Zappa.
Try playing the Black Page if you're not in full form.
Right? Yeah. Oh my God. But I do love the invocation of Head and Zappa because I love Head. I think Head's an incredibly subversive and really important American film that should always be talked about more. It's really, that's such a special film.
Yeah. I mean, like, again, like, it's just interesting to think of, a filmmaker as like this orchestrator of so many things going on, like a conductor. And here he's, Jodorowsky is like wanting to transform his actors and not just direct them to do something. I think, again, like you could see, like him administering mushrooms to the actors during the shooting. I mean, that's a choice. And I'm not here to judge either way. Like, obviously, if it garners the results that you want from your story and from the film itself, then hell, go all in. Like, I mean, geez, pull a Coppola making Apocalypse Now if you want, right?
Oh my God. Minus the heart attacks on sets, though.
Good. Yeah, of course. Good. Yeah, I mean, I think he definitely did questionable things.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. The thing with Jodorowsky, and at least this is the impression I've always had with the use of psychedelics with the making of Holy Mountain, is that everything was in a very guided manner. Sure. It wasn't just like, hey man, let's get ripped. It wasn't. And again, I'm not here to judge. I love the Butthole Surfers, and that band's best work was when they were all on like 20 hits of acid. That's just the truth. But
I can't wait to see the documentary about them. It's playing.
Oh, I know.
It looks so good.
I know. I can't wait. I keep asking Tom to send me a copy.
Oh my God. That's just a little clip I saw where Paul Leary says, "I've always hated the word soup." I love Paul Leary. But the thing with because I think it was you, Jim, that mentioned earlier about how some people and I've had friends who've done this. They're like, oh my, when I remember when Dance to Reality came out, a good friend of mine was like, oh man, it's going to be playing a theater nearby. I'm going to make sure and get like some, I can't remember what drug it was. It was nothing hard, but I think like mescaline or something. And it made me a little sad though, because I'm like, to me, great art is a drug. You don't need, not to sound like old fashioned, but a great art is the drug. That is the drug. Jodorowsky is giving you an experience that is better than any sort of chemical you can ingest or snort or whatever.
Wasn't that his line? Like, I don't do drugs, I am drugs.
Oh my God, yeah, he is. He's my fan. Oh my God. And I've always said, like, if you're gonna do combine films with psychedelics, you need to pick like films that are bad, that could be enhanced, that need that enhancement.
Sure, that's a good point. Yeah.
A very close loved one of mine who used to he had his acid head days. Let's just say that his favorite movie to do that was Godzilla versus the Smog Monster. He did that. He scored it. Yeah, he was like, that's the best movie to be just ripped on acid and watch that. Don't do that to Jodorowsky. These films are, and actually I have a soft spot for Godzilla versus Ghidorah, aka
it's so good.
It's so good. And I don't think you really need drugs for that one either. But
no, the environmental message in that movie is fantastic.
Right? And then you have that great psychedelic music.
Oh, I love it. Yes.
Yes, it's so good. But no, I don't. You don't. To me, it's like when somebody's like, "Oh, I need drugs for something," then that means the art's not good. Like that's why when people
I felt like I was on drugs watching this movie,
exactly.
and not in a way that's like, I don't mean that in a derogatory sense whatsoever. It's more just it does feel overwhelming, and that's kind of like its intention, I think, is to overwhelm you, but also give you a lot to think about while you're experiencing it.
Well, that was the nice thing about watching it this time. I had never seen the deleted scenes, and the deleted scenes have they're not fully complete. As far as I could tell, they have just Jodorowsky talking over them. You don't hear the audio. And there's one where he's talking about the guy that plays the thief, and he was angry at him for taking drugs while they were shooting. I think this was all pre-shoot, let's do drugs and come together kind of thing, as opposed to while we're actually on the set. Because I can see Jodorowsky being very much a taskmaster. Yeah, I mean, obviously we heard about that with Brontes and all of the shit that he went through trying to be Paul Atreides, you know. I love that isn't his teacher, his master in the documentary, or at least he talks about.
I think you're right.
Holy shit. And so, he's like angry at the guy that's playing the thief. And he was just like, I cut out a lot of stuff with this guy because he just wasn't doing a good job.
Yeah, that's again kind of if you go back to Zappa, that's if you have a specific vision that is very very brilliant, very curated. You can't just willy-nilly just be like, let's get fucked up and do it. You can't do that. You absolutely cannot do that and get the results
a great director is probably a great control freak, you know. And I mean, again, you should work well with others. I mean, obviously you have a crew and it's not just all about you, but you should have a specific vision that you hope gets, completed in the way that you want. But I just can't imagine like even just some of the production design, or even, I was even thinking of the sound design, because that's a huge, like, that's one of the things my brain gravitates towards. And just like the choices to have like, certain screams like amplified and distorted and just like little touches here and there are like kind of mind blowing. Or just it's the way the lizards are blowing up, and I'm just like, there's so many things throughout the entire movie that I feel like I've never seen this before. And yet how many filmmakers have, like, I even think there's a YouTube video I should link to in the show notes of so many people visually referencing images throughout the Holy Mountain. And I even thought of like a recent example where I saw Oz Perkins, Gretel, and Hansel. And I was like, some of these are very symmetrical. Some of these shots are symmetrical, and I don't want to just be like, go to like, well, it's a little Kubrickian in the way he frames things. But no, I actually thought of Jodorowsky and like some of the ways that, and some of the set designs that he has in that film. Yeah, I was just like, this is kind of, I was like, oh, that's pretty original of him. But no, I mean, everybody's influencing everybody these days to where it doesn't bother me. It's just something I go, I wonder if, like Jodorowsky was kind of the beginning of a lot of this surrealism. And I mean, obviously Buñuel, there's plenty of others before him and plenty others after, but it's just like felt so fresh to me to go back to the Holy Mountain and see things that, again, like I'd never seen before, but sort of like reinterpreted by other directors over time.
Oh, sure. Well, and we live in such a curious age too, where I feel like you could almost call it the Tumblrification of cinema, or where people, there are probably so many people that are familiar with the subway scene and
in Possession,
and Jodorowsky's Possession, but they haven't seen the movie, and in fact, they probably have a completely wrong-headed, perhaps, and maybe it's not my place to say, but impression, because that movie, that's a dense movie too. Jodorowsky was a great director. Oh my god, like, more people should talk about all of his films, like not just Possession, but my god, On the Silver Globe. Anybody? Come on, forget about it. It's so good. Like, but and I could see that definitely happening with Jodorowsky, and and you've had like pop cultural figures, and of course, the two I could think of are two that are the most canceled, that have been canceled multiple times, and for good reasons. But like Kanye West and Marilyn Manson.
Yeah, they were big fans.
Well, and Manson was, when he married Didi Monteith, Jodorowsky officiated.
And he was supposed to be in the Sons of El Topo sequel that was supposed to come out. And then I know in one of the deleted scenes, there's this cross made out of televisions, and Jodorowsky even says, "Oh yeah, Marilyn Manson took this and used this for one of his stage shows."
Yeah,
doesn't surprise me at all.
And it's but don't let anybody listening, don't let that scare you. If you're like, I'm curious about Jodorowsky, I'm listening to these three lovely people talk about him, none of whom, are Kanye West or Marilyn Manson. So we're all lovely people. That's, of course, those two are guys that have made some really good art too. Like again, two things can be very true at the same time. But
separate the art from the artist, but I also acknowledge, they're
if you break. Yeah, if you're racist, if you break the law, if you hurt people, that's not fucking cool. And so. But anywho, no, the Holy Mountain is absolutely. I still think of it, and I love all of his films. I don't count Tusk or The Rainbow Thief because they're not. To me, those were compromise films, and he has said that much. So I don't. Not to sound like a nerd, they're not canon for anybody that speaks. Talk, but his core films are all just, I think, so vibrant and fascinating. But the Holy Mountain for me really is in my brain is always like that top. It's like the top of the pyramid.
Yeah, it operates on this frequency that, again, like most movies don't even touch, and yet like it's a political satire too. It's all these things wrapped into one, and they all sort of complement each other. It's not just thrown in there like you were talking about it, because I've said this a lot in the past, is that I just don't like it when something is weird for weird's sake. I want it to have a meaning or context or something to think about, that it leaves a lasting impression with me. I mean, certainly you can just have somebody slicing an eyeball, right? And I'm like, okay, that's cool. Like when I first saw that in college or something, I was like, well, I don't know what that means, but it's cool. Because I'd never seen it on a screen before. And, clearly like Buñuel is somebody I'm going to cover on this show, hopefully within the year, because again, that's one of those filmmakers that when I sit down and watch something randomly, I go, well, that's clearly unlike anything I'd ever seen. And yet it's got that element of satire and dark comedy and, capitalist critique and all these different things going on to where it's if I'm watching a Buñuel movie today, I'm sure it's going to touch on things that are still going on in the same way that the Holy Mountain does.
Yeah. I mean, you think about those capitalists that are all together in the Discreet Charm of the Bourgeoisie.
Yes.
And
yes,
it's like, okay, I don't want to be at this dinner party. Thank you very much. And then you get into Exterminating Angel and the dinner party never ends,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I love both of those so much. That's why I'm like, why haven't I covered Buñuel yet? I should have, but again, we get there eventually. So.
And his stuff is hilarious. I mean, even going back to L'Âge d'Or or even Un Chien Andalou, there is a lot of comedy in those movies.
Yeah, without question.
Oh God, what about? I love the Herdanos, the way they pop up and Land Without. Is it Land Without Bread? Their little Herdano, the way they kind of. Oh yeah. The way they pop up kind of over a rock. It's just it's so it chants me. No, I mean we don't have Jodorowsky without Buñuel and Salvador Dali, and
for sure.
Just two. Oh my God! How lucky are we to live in a world where we've had these masters do what they do and we know about it. Like that's no matter how, and things have always been dark. Like that's the thing I always try to stress, to anybody. And I have my own freakouts too. Cause like sometimes there's a lot to be mad about. There's always, if you're not angry, you're not paying attention in general, but it's human. It's human history too. And that's why, I think something like The Holy Mountain and just Jodorowsky in general is so important, because he gives us these truths about our own species, about our own history, about our own culture, our own civilization, the good and the bad and the horrific. It's all there, and it's all within us too. That's kind of the thing that I think fascinates me the most, is that the closest we ever really see to pure characters in a Jodorowsky universe is it's children, it's people that are physically handicapped, and it's basically the people that are always the most at risk in proper, quote unquote, proper polite society. Those are the ones, and which is a very truly kind of also Christ-like view too, because who was Christ surrounded by? He wasn't surrounded by, the respectable. He was surrounded by people that were lepers, thieves, sex workers. But they, but it's like they were still
outsiders.
Outsiders, which is really why fundamentalist Christians really call themselves something else at this point. I'm like, I'm a heathen, and I know your book better than you do. That's
no kidding.
But
how do both of you feel too about the final moment of Holy Mountain before we move on? Because again, like I mean, my instinct initially was like, oh boy, you're breaking the fourth wall. The camera's going to zoom out. And like part of me was, because again, like one of my, I don't want to say pet peeves is, or things that just kind of drive me nuts is I'm not as crazy about the Ferris Bueller or the High Fidelity as much as I was, where literally talking to the camera and spelling out things or saying, this is what I'm thinking and feeling right now. And I want you to know what I'm thinking and feeling right now. And by the way, this is what I'm thinking and feeling. But God, did it work so magically at the end of this movie. And what you feel he's trying to convey to the audience in that moment, it feels true. It feels so apt. It's like films can't remain self-contained, like we talked about early on. It's, you got to go out and do something with what I'm giving you here, and feels like a moment of self-actualization for Jodorowsky and the audience to some degree, which is beautiful. So I just love this ending. And yet, like maybe years ago, I would not have been prepared for it either. I would have just been like, oh, you're just being wacky and weird to end your movie.
What a cop out. What a cop out.
Oh God. Well, there's definitely a lot of people, like when you look up stuff on this movie, there are people that have very very strong reactions to this ending. Also, I think I just got indigestion with you invoking Ferris Bueller so close to my beloved Holy Mountain. Ew.
Oh my God. I don't want to think about Ferris Bueller in a Jodorowsky movie.
Oh my God. Keep John Hughes the hell away from my home.
I should bleep that out.
He's from Chicago. He's got to talk about John Hughes. Come on.
Yeah, I guess.
There's so many. You know who else is from Chicago? Steven Sadian. That's a filmmaker.
Yay.
Not John Hughes. Okay.
Shout out to your wonderful episode, right?
Yeah. Oh yes. Oh, I didn't even do that on purpose. I swear to God. I just always invoke Steven. Mike knows this, but Mike could have me on an episode talking about like the Three Stooges, disorder in the court, and I'll be like, so Steven Sadian, like I will do that. Steven does love Three Stooges though, so I would have a reason. But no, I love the ending too, and I think especially because kind of what I was saying earlier, it's the perfect way. Because I mean, realistically, how else is he supposed to end it? First of all, right? It's like, are we really going to believe that? Everybody's immortal? That would be a bullshit ending. It would be a lie. It would be a total lie, and it would be a cop out. And instead, he's like, no, I'm giving you this power. I am giving you, the viewer. I've taken you to the summit, but now it's up to you to do the real legwork. And that, to me, that's love and that's respect.
Yeah. He clearly respects his audience and their intelligence, and just to have the audacity to sit through all this and feel like, all right, what are you going to take away from this, audience? I mean, that is beautiful to me. It's not, it's not a cop out. It's actually complimenting everything that came before it in a way, and revealing the entire crew and everything outside the frame is just, I don't know. It gave me the chills. It still does. Oh, yeah. So it's amazing.
Well, and then he and the other actors all walk away. They destroy the set. They turn over the big table with the 7-sided star, or whatever it is, 9-sided. I forget. And then, they walk away and we fade to white before the credits roll. And I love that. It's just like, okay, it is hope that he's giving us at the end of this, not desperation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm wondering if we should end the podcast just like acknowledging, hey, listeners, you're listening to our podcast, and we're going to hang up our headphones now and walk out. Now you have to go experience.
You must create your own podcast. Don't worry, we already did.
Hey, before podcast, there was talk radio, and before talk radio, there was just radio. And then there were two guys who were like, we want radio broadcasts to be on my iPod. Wouldn't it be cool if they broadcast on my iPod? Podcast. Everyone from teachers to preachers to ex-frat boys have a podcast these days. I mean, like, how much do we really need to be consuming other people talking?
and it was created by AI.
Gross.
Yeah. That's any stand-up comedians that are listening are just like, oh, I'm already there. I gotcha. I already got my own.
Yep. Every celebrity now has a podcast. Why don't one of you to set up Santa Sangre?
After the Holy Mountain and El Topo, a new film by Alejandro Jodorowsky, Santa Sangre.
What? How many years later? 16 years later?
A long time, yeah. Well, because after this, he was working on the whole Dune project, as far as I know.
Yeah.
So there was a long period of time there between Holy Mountain, and we had Tuscan there in 80, and then Santa Sangre in 89.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm just so glad that he was able to find somebody again to give him some money to do this. And it was just, he goes back to the circus, sets everything in a circus. And I think it's so smart when he uses his own children in films.
Yes.
I mean, we talked about Brontes, but to have Axel Jodorowsky in here, because he's not in it. I mean, Alejandro is not in this, but there are Axel, Aiden, and Teo are all in this one.
And Brontes is in this, but you kind of have to look for him.
Oh, okay, that's right. He's an orderly. I forgot about that.
That's right.
I had totally forgot about it too until literally Friday night, and I was rewatching it, and then I was like, wait, credits? Wait, did I just see Brontes? And then I'm like, this is ridiculous. How long have I've seen this movie so many times? And I got all excited. I was like, oh my God, I love Brontes.
And Teo at times does not look like a Jodorowsky. Like Brontes does not look like a Jodorowsky to me. But you look at these other guys, and like Teo, there's one moment in here where I'm just like, oh, that's totally a Jodorowsky, because they have very, very specific physical features. And I think it's, very strong genes. And I love that Aiden and Axel are playing the same character just years apart, because it's brilliant how close they look in looks. Just that same nose, that same mouth, that same head. It just, it's remarkable. So Heather, do you want to give a little plot synopsis for Santa Sangre?
Well, absolutely. So Santa Sangre opens up, as Mike said, in a carnival, and we have young Phoenix, who's a boy magician, and his father is Orgo, who is a strong man, knife thrower. He is an absolutely, imagine the most grotesque character from a Fellini film, and you're very, very close to Orgo. Long dyed blonde hair, super hairy chest, spangles. The flip of that is Phoenix's mother, who is also in the circus. She does a hair where she sort of does I'm trying to think of the actual term for it, but basically she's suspended in air from her hair, and she sort of does these limber dance moves at Concha. But Concha is also part of a cult, a religious cult dedicated to a saint that is not recognized by the Catholic Church, who is a young girl that was basically dismembered and raped and murdered. And it's a blood cult. And so from there, we get to meet, characters around young Phoenix, these great clowns because they're clowns, they don't say anything, but they're kind of like angels. They're very angelic. They're always sort of giving love. They're not very helpful in a lot of ways. There's Aladdin, who's a dwarf, who is often kind of with Phoenix, and Aladdin's a great character. But the film kind of also cuts back and forth between adult Phoenix and who is Axel, who's institutionalized. And then we see his childhood, and this tattooed woman who comes in between. I'm sure she wasn't the first, though. Let's face it. Orgo is a
Orgo can't keep it in his pants. Plus, his wife is a religious nut.
Yeah,
so,
and he has to. There's this whole thing where he hypnotizes Concha, and then it's so grotesque. But he basically, it's funny because it shows you how much sometimes we internalize our own culture's views on how sexuality is portrayed, because it took me a few viewings where I didn't realize that it was I didn't think of it as rape. And then it's well, no, he hypnotized her.
Right.
That's rape. That's totally rape. And so poor Phoenix. And the only really like of age companion he has is this deaf mute named Alma.
Right.
And who has this white face, like not quite like a mime, almost like makes me think of a Perot clown, if I'm saying that correctly.
Sure. Yeah.
Also see, the great guitarist for sensational Alex Harvey band. Zal wore a very similar makeup, but and you feel for her because
she's kind of owned by the tattoo woman.
Yeah, she's not biologically her daughter, and the tattoo woman makes her know that. Like, because this woman, her and Orgo are like bookends of awful. They are really, Concha's not a great mother either, but she does genuinely really care about the saint. And you think about how expendable people are in society, but especially women, especially young girls, as far as like just being raped and murdered. I also wondered, and I haven't done this is kind of something that's just come to me really recently, is timeline wise, because this was shot in Mexico, I wonder if it layers up with the whole Suarez. Was it in Suarez where all of these young women and sex workers were being murdered and dumped off and nobody was doing shit about it?
I think so. I haven't explored that as much.
But that's something that occurred to me. But that's also like, look at Jack the Ripper. I mean, women have always been especially very expendable in cultures. So I find Concha kind of fascinating on that level. Orgo is very much id, completely extreme id. Concha is extreme religion. Fundamentalist. She can't see the bird from the trees though because of that. Neither one of them can. And meanwhile, in the middle is this child who needs guidance, and he's just getting traumatized. He's just getting traumatized front, left, and center, with the only really like lights in his life being Alma, the clowns, and Aladdin, but also the elephant. I get that elephant. I get a very. You can tell I'm very. I feel like I just gave the most neurodivergent summary of this movie. I am so sorry.
I think that's the approach to like his work in general. It's like you kind of have to go all over the place in a way. I mean, it is more straightforward. Like I think that's kind of what surprised me after Holy Mountain to some degree. Was just like, oh yeah, this is kind of like a little coming of age, a little bit of, Oedipal nightmare, Psycho.
It's interesting, though, to see the parallels. Like you're talking about Aladdin, and that's his companion. And then you've got the guy with kind of the abbreviated arms and legs in Holy Mountain, who's the thief's companion as well. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, you've got the circus with the reenactment of the how Mexico was taken over by the conquistadores, and here you've got the circus at the heart of this whole thing. And even with this, it's like we go back and forth in time like crazy, and we've got the whole second half of the movie where we've got Phoenix coming out of the insane asylum and then basically becomes a serial killer. Even though he doesn't think that he is, he has this whole delusion where he becomes his mother's arms. And that, just the performance of this woman who's got her arms probably tied behind her back, and then you've got him being her arms, playing the piano for her, doing her needlework for her, all of these things. And it just is amazing to see how these two actors work together as this one unit, with the boy being the hands and his mother being this commanding force, this kind of Mrs. Bates to his Norman. And as you go through here, you're just like, what is real? What is not? I mean, these clowns show up, like you were talking about, Heather. The clowns show up all the time, and you're like, are these clowns real? I don't think that they are anymore. I think these are all in his head. Aladdin is not real when he comes back into the story, because when he comes out of the asylum, he just starts to re-experience this. And it's really the girl with the white face that becomes the only real point to it, which is, and he murders her quote unquote mother figure, the tattooed lady. But he's trying to reenact all these things. He's really trying to be his father. He does the same knife throwing act. He hypnotizes the one woman that he murders with the knife when he stabs her. throws the knife through her. I mean, it's just remarkable to see this whole idea of we are reenacting our trauma from childhood and just going to keep doing this same thing. And really, this one, it's like he finally breaks free at the end, even though he has murdered all of these people. That scene in the graveyard with all of the women coming out with those, I guess, it's white bodysuits that they're wearing or white makeup all over themselves.
Yeah.
That is just so chilling. That's better than anything I've seen in a horror film in so long.
I know, right? Like, I mean, I was thinking there's some giallo sensibilities going on, and you mentioned, like Claudio Argento co-produced or produced it, and yet it's still fused with his surrealist touches. And
doesn't feel like this is a compromise at all.
Yeah,
no, and it's so strange though because it's definitely unlike. In some ways, there are threads that are so unlike any of the other Jodorowsky films, but yet there's enough of his DNA and enough of his thumbprint, that auteur thumbprint, that still makes it very much Jodorowsky. And that whole graveyard scene to me almost made me feel like something that you would see from a painter like I don't know if this is accurate. Almost like it made me think like a weird mix between like Francis Bacon, Buñuel, and Joe Spinell in Maniac. Like it had that for me. That's just me, maybe, but it is everything in this film is really beautifully done, and the fact that it also made me think, and it's not just because the obvious. Where a lot of times if somebody said something at a carnival, someone's going to mention Freaks, Todd Browning's Freaks.
Sure.
But I feel like the real connective tissue with that is twofold. Because one, Todd Browning also worked in a circus as a younger person, and it made a huge imprint in his life and as an artist, as a man. And he had heart for all of the figures in the carnival that people spit on and did not respect and did not, that's the thing. People are like, oh, they don't want to look at handicapped people because it's exploitive, but they just want to shove them in the closet and not acknowledge them, which is also maybe even arguably more offensive. And there's that heart. And I mean, who are the real like monsters and freaks? It's the regular seeming people. It's the strong man. It's the, it's the main woman who ends up getting a very nasty sort of just desserts kind of situation. And, and that's kind of for me, like the same with the carnival, like who are the, Orgo and the tattoo woman are awful people. These are terrible. Yeah. I mean, the tattoo woman, who we don't even get a name, she's just the tattoo woman, but her treatment of poor Alma, both as a child, but even like when Alma finally like ends up just leaving because she basically is trying to pimp her out while she's asleep to the service guy, just saying, oh, she's deaf mute, you can do whatever you want to her, she can't scream, nobody will.
And what was the deal with the guy with the ear? Like he was trying to like, that really freaked me out. Like it's so random. I wasn't expecting that.
It's almost like the guy with the eye in Holy Mountain.
Was thinking about.
Yep.
His eye out, and this guy takes his ear off.
This is why I pay you both the big bucks right there. Finding those parallels.
Well,
I'm trying to remember. So the soldier who really goes after her, it's interesting because I've seen him a lot, like recently more. Like he seems to really have had more of a presence. Like, isn't he in frickin' The Longest Yard? Like he's got such an interesting face, that tall, like the big guy.
He's got a great. This film, Jodorowsky to me is almost like one of those great silent film directors where just every single person has such a cool face, such a presence, such a physical. Like the guy with the ear is kind of, when you first see him, you're like, this guy's really handsome, and then he starts pulling off his ear and putting it on poor Alma, and you're like, what is going on? But that's again more like you have a lot of corruption of the innocent as themes that pop up in Jodorowsky's film, and this goes back to Fando Elise, which this scene just always gives me chills, where you and he does it in a surreal way where you're not actively seeing anything literally displayed as far as like a child being harmed, but an egg is broken.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, and it just hits you like a punch. Like, what happened, and it's not good, and it's not pretty. And we live in a world where, when we see this in Holy Mountain also with the weapons, the toy weapon dealer, both the elderly and the young are continually exploited. And, And poor Alma, you know, that's not the first time this woman's done that to her. Like, you know, it's and yeah, the fact that Alma's surrounded in her little room with like clown dolls and a picture of young Phoenix, and it's like her still, it's like almost she's still keeping her innocence protected, something pure that they gave her love and comfort in this very brutal existence. And I just find it's all those little touches too. Like, but that tattoo woman is so got her. Like, of course, her and Orgo are attracted to each other. It's like it's just like two reptiles mating. You know, it's so they're so gross that it's like Concha's a piece of work too. But realistically, we don't even really get to see that much of Concha in the real world. We see more of Concha in the way that adult Phoenix is processing her, in the way that her,
from his perspective,
for the way her spirit is controlling him. The Psycho reference is brilliant because it is completely kind of like a mirror of. And
in a way, like watching this after something like The Holy Mountain, I don't want to say like, well, this is lesser than or not as exciting, but it was just maybe because like, oh yeah, I see parallels or I see the Oedipal, you know, themes going on here that it felt like more familiar, maybe, but not like in a way. I mean, obviously he's still telling a story in his own unique vision and everything. And, you know, it kind of surprised me too that Ebert like adored this movie because he wasn't the biggest Lynch guy for quite a long time. Maybe up until like Straight Story and then Mulholland Drive.
Yeah. Of course, that would be whatever.
He loves Sounds to Sound Great, you know?
Yeah. I have to
full
apologize.
of contradictions.
Real quick before I forget, I have to apologize. The big guy who is in The Longest Yard is not the same guy as this. The big guy in The Longest Yard, and I'm talking about the 2005, was somebody that you might know, Heather. Dilip Singh Rana, known as the Great Khali from WWE.
Oh my God! Yes.
Wow. All right.
Whoa,
so, but the guy that plays the big soldier is not that guy. So he just looks remarkably like him to me.
Looks a lot like him. That's a great comparison, though. I also I never saw the newer Longest Yard, so I didn't know the Great Khali was in that.
Yeah, it's actually decent. It's actually like a really decent Adam Sandler film. Like I wouldn't even consider it an Adam Sandler film.
I don't know why I'm so decent.
He's got a couple of decent movies.
He does. Yeah.
That's like a sandwich. You know, you're like, how was your lunch? It was fine. It was the sandwich. It was good. It was decent. Meanwhile, we're talking about like this gourmet
yes. Oh yeah.
situation. But
this is the only Jodorowsky I've ever seen on the big screen. Like I've never seen any of his other stuff, but this one I did. And yeah, so good and so nice to see because again, like no half measures, you know, everything here is bigger than life and just
exactly.
Oh, holy cow. I mean, to the point where it's just like, you know, the elephant being this symbol through the film and everything. I mean, it literally larger than life with this elephant.
Oh, God.
That's not a reference to the Bill Murray movie, of course.
Right. Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Just making sure.
No Dumbo drop going on with this one.
The elephant. Oh, my God. There are certain things in Jodorowsky's films that it doesn't matter. It never, the effect in general is always, is like it's as sharp and cute as ever, but the heartbreak, that my God, the whole thing with the elephant just always destroys me a little bit. It's so heavy and it's so beautifully done, but it's also like, again, using this really set, like the whole funeral thing and but using it to kind of reveal again more just sort of ugly truths about this world where it's like they dump the funeral, like in the funeral they dump the body in this beautiful casket and these people that are living, it almost made me think of sort of people having to live inside the hill in El Sopo where they're living in such poverty that they're having to literally eat a dead, sick corpse of an elephant.
Los Olvidados, yeah.
Yeah. And that's and again, this is why it's like somebody that loves you is going to give you like honesty like that. Like, yeah, this world is amazing, but it's awful too. And it's like, that's how we grow. We can't really grow in general until we sort of see both sides, see that duality.
Yeah.
And all of those people sliding down that hill trying to get to that elephant corpse, they so remind me of all those little kids in the Holy Mountain where they all are like wearing the little fig leaf and everything, and just this kind of like bunch of shitty kids. Again, it's like dozens and dozens. And with this, it's like even bigger. It feels like hundreds of people sliding down that mountain to get to that graveyard.
Yeah. And there's poor Phoenix. Like, you're like, God, like this poor kid hasn't seen enough. You know, it's just like, we're given very good, clear reasons why. It's not, again, not excusing the act of serial killing, but you get it. You really get it. And that's also, I think, such a powerful, uncomfortable truth this film nails for you, because you care about Phoenix and Axel. I'm really sad because I know we lost him, and Teo even died even younger. But Axel's performance in this is so good. You really,
it sure is.
Your heart just goes out and just bleeds for this guy, because he constantly doesn't want to kill. He doesn't want to do it. And you understand why he's mixed up. And again, it's not a justification. I think a lot of times people conflate empathy and understanding with agreeance. And that's not the case. That's never the case when it comes to people getting hurt, you know, but you have to understand why people do the things they do. That's the only way we're going to, in my opinion, this is where I'm going to sound like probably like a hippie or whatever, but like where we can maybe have a fighting chance of getting better, where less people are hurt in this world. If we understand it and we can grow from it and be like, okay, how can we prevent some of this? You know, how can we take better care of each other? As a culture, as a people, you know?
That's a great point. And I mean, obviously he had a tenderness for the marginalized and just in a way that's clear, because, you know, like we've talked about, the only decent characters are often these outcasts who are trying to, you know, find themselves and not get lost in the world. But it's very difficult when you have like this overwhelming trauma from your past, and you know he's consumed by his mother and his identity is erased, and like his body is kind of like made into an extension of her will, even though she's not alive anymore. And it just like creates this, you know, fascinating dynamic. And also just, I don't know, it worked emotionally on me, and part of me was like, oh no, is it going to go down like the Hollywood happy ending route with the two of them walking off into the sunset? And then no, it doesn't. And I kind of went, oh, I'm sad, but I'm also happy at the same time that he didn't take that route, because I don't know if it would have been honest, you know?
No, I don't think it would have.
Yeah.
You know, we talked about people taking from Jodorowsky, and I don't think this is necessarily a direct lift, but I feel like he was inspired a lot by the Alan Parker film Birdie when it came to this. Like the whole idea of the guy in the asylum, you know, living like a bird, and then even some of these like beautiful shots. And I'm curious how he even did this, like the shot of the camera going through the city and it ends up at the circus. I mean, there are some really great like POV flying type shots in Birdie. I'm very curious, because I mean, Parker, I mean, say what you will, I think he was such a visionary.
Oh yeah, very underrated filmmaker.
Absolutely.
That was covered on this show at length at one point, like in the past, like 5 years or so, and certainly ones, you know, like I can even just think of Birdie and he did Shoot the Moon, didn't he? Which is like one of the best. Is that Alan Parker who did Shoot the Moon? I'm thinking of somebody else. That always happens.
I'm trying to remember what that movie is.
Shoot the Moon is probably, I think, one of the best movies about divorce that I've ever seen. Oh, he did do that. Okay.
That is Alan Parker.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, it's an incredible Albert Finney, Diane Keaton, Karen Allen movie.
Wow.
It's one of the best movies.
I'll have to watch that. I've never actually seen that, so that's great.
I haven't either. Like when you said Shoot the Moon, my brain went to that undercover sting operation and Up in Smoke.
Well, having people turn into iguanas, you know, that right in the war.
Hello, Mr. Lizard.
Get taken out by the conquistadores.
Oh my God, I do. Those first 3 Cheech and Chong films are amazing. They're so good. Yeah. But I need to check that out though. Thank you, Jim. That's an Alan Parker. That's a total. I haven't seen all of Alan Parker's stuff. Anyways, I know I had some blind spots, but that's one I didn't even realize I had.
It's funny. I think they didn't just show the wall. They just showed Tommy. That's right. I get sometimes I get those two mixed up in my head a little bit, but they just showed like in IMAX. They showed Tommy recently. I was like, I want to see the wall in IMAX.
Do not remind me. I'm so mad because the local, like we have like a smaller IMAX, and I took my mother to see the Elvis, the Epic.
Oh yeah,
concert, which was amazing. By the way, that was
so good.
Oh my god! Yeah. And I'm not even a Baz Luhrmann film or fan. I'm not a Luhrmann fan at all. But this, like, if somebody doesn't understand the power of Elvis, watch that movie. God. It was so good. But
he was one of the best performers ever, and you can so see it in that movie.
The charisma. And the talent, oh my god.
The charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent were on display.
He did not. He may have sashayed away metaphorically, but Elvis is always sashay you stay. For us, especially if you've seen Epic. But when we saw we saw that, they had the trailer for Tommy, and that got my hopes up because I'm like, oh my god, I've never seen Ken Russell on the big screen. And Ken Russell's one of my auteurs, like along with Jodorowsky. And no, they just teased me. It didn't play anywhere near where I live, and I'm not happy about that. I'm a little bitter, but I will say it looks like I saw online that the viewings did really good. I'm friends with people that was their first time seeing the movie in general, which I can't even imagine. But
no, your mind must have been blown. I mean, imagine the Acid Queen sequence in IMAX.
Oh boy,
Lord! Wow, the baked beans.
Oh Jesus!
And Margaret.
Oh my gosh!
And Margaret in IMAX. Holy cow!
Wow.
So I like to think there's at least going to be a whole new generation of Ken Russell acolytes because of that screening. So if that happens, then it's worth it. But yeah, thanks a lot. Not coming to Arkansas, jerks. But
you know what's funny too is like I bet if even though he doesn't have the largest filmography to warrant like an entire sequel episode in the future on Jodorowsky, his forays into autobiographical storytelling via, like, I don't want to say again a more traditional documentary approach. I just randomly was curious because I came across Psychomagic, and when I just read like just the synopsis of it, I'm like, okay, he's doing some form of therapy for people. Let's give this a look. I was kind of like, I don't want to say again blown away, but it's more of just like this is comfortable for people. I don't know. This is really intense to watch, and like just people experiencing catharsis in that way. But also as somebody who was initially going to become a therapist, I'm like, you are crossing serious boundaries here.
So Psychomagic, a quick way of describing it would be like art therapy proposed by Alejandro Jodorowsky. He will talk to somebody about their traumas and problems and whatever's holding them back in life and immediately come up with a prescription of how they can heal themselves by doing an act, doing something. Somebody says, I hate my sister and it makes me so mad that I can't function. And then he will say, okay, you need to take a doll of your sister and you need to kiss it and then cover yourself in honey and go to the seashore and let yourself be eaten by fish.
Again, I'm not here to judge, because obviously if this helps people, then I'm all for it. Like, I want people to experience some sort of personal closure if they can. It's just like he went all out on this other form of expression and connection with other people with Psychomagic, and this, like, obviously he's written tons of books. There's so many things that you can cover outside of just the main three films that he's most known for. But just watching that documentary, I was kind of like, I mean, it was a little repetitive because it's mostly just him meeting with different people and them having their own unusual approach to therapy that made me uncomfortable, I guess, but not in a way that I was like, oh, this is unethical, It was just so different coming from the films I just watched. And I know he has Dance of Reality, Endless Poetry, all these other works that I haven't seen yet, but I'm very curious to know your thoughts on if you've seen them.
I am the rustiest on Endless Poetry, so I don't want to like sound. There's always that fear you don't want to sound like ignorant. So I will speak to the one I've seen more recently and have rewatched more, which is Dance of Reality, and it's incredible. It's an absolutely incredible film. It moved me. Like, I'm not somebody that like cries a lot in movies. I tend to save that for real life. That's terrible. Let me go write some emo poetry when we get done with this. I'll smoke a clove cigarette. I'll listen to some Leonard Cohen. It's fine.
There you go.
But it's beautiful, and the power. Like, Brontes plays his own grandfather in that, and that performance, especially when you see Brontes Jodorowsky interviewed, like in Dune and in other interviews, he's so soft spoken. He almost, as in real life, almost has like this glow about him. He just seems like a very gentle soul.
Oh yeah.
And he's playing his grandfather, who was a not gentle soul, who was brutal and very angry and a very like fire element of a person. And it's such a great performance. It's like, I love Dance of. I think if anybody, like, if you love Jodorowsky, seek out the newer stuff. Like, it's all, it's great. It's all brilliant, and it's giving you what Jodorowsky always does, which he gives you things. He gives you imagery, and he gives you thoughts to process, and kind of also leaves it up to you. Which to me, ultimately, that's what true anybody that is a philosopher or somewhat spiritual. The best guides are the ones that are like, here's what you can learn. Now it's your journey. It's not, that's why I don't trust groups, though. Like, if anybody's like, join this group and we'll show you the way to run. So yeah, I think Dance Reality is great. And it's fascinating, though, because boy, it's really almost like we're kind of looping back more to the 70s stuff. Santa Sangre, in some ways, I wouldn't call it an outlier, but in a way it is. Yeah. With the core films, but that's not, again, it's not a bad thing, and it's still it's definitely still enough purity there to scratch the itch, so to say. But I don't know. I mean, Mike, what did you?
I'm the biggest hypocrite in the world, because I remember when Jodorowsky's Dune came out, and it was just like, why aren't people giving this guy money to make more movies? Why aren't we doing like major Kickstarters or any of these things? Who are these people that are just sitting on wads of cash and not giving this artist money? Well, then he comes out with multiple films after that, with Endless Poetry, Dance of Reality, and Psycho Magic. I haven't seen any of them, so fuck me, right?
Oh my God, no. Okay,
it's so much to see. It's hard to make time for everything.
It is.
Exactly. Thank you, Jim. Yeah, especially because Mike, I'm sorry, do you not run one of the most prolific and popular
I don't know how you do it, Mike.
Ever? Like, and some inside baseball for the listeners here. Like, as somebody who's been very lucky to work with Michael on several episodes for over several years. God, Mike, how long has it been? Like 15? How long have we been working off and on together?
Gosh, yeah, because you wrote for me for Cashiers, right?
Wow. Yeah. And the inside baseball is like, Mike is one of the best researchers in the business, and we'll go to all of the extra steps to the, and it's like, we'll find films too that look like, when we did There Is No 13, which is such a great movie, and I highly encourage anybody to seek it out. I know it's going to be a shitty bootleg version because that's all we have. The film elements are lost, and then listen to the Projection Booth episode because it's great, and not despite me being on it, but you do that, like, and Jim, you doing Directors Club. I mean, you guys are doing the deep cinematic dives here, and there are probably hundreds of thousands of films out there. Nobody's going to know. Anybody that says they know everything, again, it's like the guru. Don't trust them. Also, like, I'm sorry, what is this, a dick size competition? I hate that so much in the film community.
No, not at all. We all feel like a genuine respect and appreciation for everybody and what they do, and it is hard because, like, I always go, I wish I just loved film, right? But obviously, as you know, Heather, I'm such a music nerd too, and that episode we did on music videos was just a blast. Where I'm like, we're gonna do a follow-up You know,
we need to do a follow-up. There's so many cool music videos, man. We just scraped the surface.
I know. Yeah, exactly. But no, I mean, like, I feel, I think I couldn't help but after watching Holy Mountain this morning again, like say something along the lines of like, well, there is, my life before seeing Holy Mountain, and now there is my life after seeing Holy Mountain. Like it just I feel that sense of euphoria and gratitude that a movie like that can not only be made, but it exists, and it fell into my life and through somebody who I'm going to spend the rest of my life with too. On top of it all, it does feel like a blessed experience to have, and I just love that it all comes from this storyteller who believes that like this the search for meaning is more important than maybe finding it. Right? Like it's just, again, we talked about the journey is the destination, and kind of accepting that, and ultimately not going, well, this is what I'm here to do, and that's that. Right? There's so much more to it. And, certainly what both of you bring to just analysis of film is similar to like what a therapist does for people's lives to some degree. And I think that's why we all sort of connect on that same level. And it's also just about having a good time and nerding out too on top of it. So
yeah, I had the best intentions for this show. I was like, I'm finally going to watch those movies. I'm going to rewatch Fondo Elise. I'm going to rewatch El Topo. This is going to be great. Maybe I'll finally make the excuse and watch Rainbow Thief and Tusk. I just did not have the time to. Oh no,
of course,
and that's
not
me, but
that's
I
not
really
required
wanted
anymore for this show. And I kind of, again, I love Bill with all my heart, and he just does it all. Like he watch everything. He'd read every book. That's why I love him, obviously. But it's impossible for me to really have that level of commitment.
I've got one co-host that shows up, Jedediah Ayers, and he will watch. Yeah, he'll watch everything. We will read everything. He'll watch everything, and I'm just like, I feel so bad that I haven't. He's like, listen, you do this all the time. I do this like once or twice a year, so I can do this thing. I'm like, oh, thank you. You make me feel better with it.
Well, it also, again, because we're talking about the journey, every journey is different. Yeah. Like the important thing is to explore. Like if that's the thing. Like if you explore a bunch of stuff out of a sense of commitment, then you're going into it with the wrong feeling, like you have to, to me, it kind of has to lines up where, you're like, yeah, you know what? I'm ready for this movie. I'm ready. And that's part and parcel of the process. And, and on top of that, everybody's got lives. People got day jobs. People got families. People got kids.
Pets. Don't forget pets.
Pets. Oh, I know. My bubby has been trying to burst through the office like the Kool-Aid man, and my little Kool-Aid dog of love. But no, I mean, everybody's journey is different, and that's why I always bristle, and you see this in like certainly music communities too, where people get real like gatekeepery, like, oh, we're going to gatekeep this, or if you're a real so and so, then that's bullshit. What makes you a real art lover, whether it's painting, dance, film, literature, music, any of it, is the heart. Do you feel it in your heart? Do you feel that joy? Do you feel that expansion? Do you feel that tingle?
Yeah.
You got that, then you're the real deal. Welcome to the club. Welcome to the tribe. And that's what that's really, that's what it's about.
Yeah, that's the real magic right there.
Exactly. And, Mike, when you'll get to it. And when you see Dance to Reality, I can't wait to hear about it. But that's okay, because you're also watching like 40 other movies, that other people certainly are not. I mean, I mentioned There Is No 13. Who else talks about There Is No 13? That's a deep cut.
It's so funny. Whenever I watch something and I log it on Letterboxd, if it's not something for the show, people will be like, "Ooh, are you doing an episode about this?" It's like, no, I'm not. I'm just I watch something for pleasure, believe it or not. So
every once in a while we do that. Yeah.
I won't be doing an episode about Project Hail Mary, but I just went to see the movie because I liked the book. So yeah.
Oh, that was a good time. I enjoyed that. Yeah.
I will say that you mentioned the crowdfunding thing with Jodorowsky, and I love it so much. I mean, on one hand, initially, I remember being like really kind of pissed because I'm like, here's this real artist,
Right.
this auteur, who's having to crowdfund. Meanwhile, you yahoos off in Hollywood are like, hey, let's let's
Star Wars, more Marvel.
Let's reboot Footloose, because that's what the world needed, was more Footloose. Like, no, the original was bad enough. We don't need more Footloose. But instead, did he bitch about it? Because I've seen there's some that are, I mean, they're filmmakers I love who have been like, well, I'm probably never going to make another movie because I can't get money. I'm like, Jodorowsky, who is older than these filmmakers, because he's now like, what, 90?
Wow.
96, maybe just turned 97.
God.
Yeah.
And you see
he's
this
like,
guy, and it's just like, what did you do to yourself, sir? Why do you sound so good at 97 years old? He sounds better to me than I do at 50, coming on 54.
dude,
wow.
Your words to my ears. I feel the same, and he looks good.
Oh,
He looks healthy. He, and he's living right. It's what he's doing. But did he let it? Did he bitch? Did he moan? He's like, no, let's do a Kickstarter. Yeah. Let's go to the people. The people spoke, and we got more Jodorowsky art, and that is such a gift, and that is beautiful. And that's why I wish more and more filmmakers, I love John Waters. And if John Waters doesn't want to make another movie, dude's done his time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I don't, like that. John Waters is one of my heroes, but I'm like, you started off making movies with a handful of money, with your friends. Go back to that. Let's go back to basics. And I think that's the real salvation, as much as people like to be negative and talk about the death of cinema, the death of theaters. That's all horseshit. That's all negativity. It's the death of the mainstream. The dinosaurs are dying. They should have died a long time ago. The rebirth is ground roots, like with anything in life, whether it's, activism or getting a great local meal, at a restaurant versus going to Applebee's or whatever. It's grassroots. And that is the hope right there. Jodorowsky, once again,
one of the all-time great, uncompromising visionaries, I would say.
Yes, he is. To me, it's like he is the magician in the tarot card, but he's also the world. He started off as the magus, if you follow the Thoth deck, which I know a lot of people are, ooh, Crowley. Crowley's, again, research. It's not as spooky as you think, and he was a flawed man. Who isn't?
Of course, yeah, no, exactly, and I that's why I don't know. I understand people having a very personal or even sometimes dismissive reaction to certain artists that, they've done horrible, shitty things. I'm not denying that, but you watch the work itself, and it's kind of hard to not feel something. Again, I use the word gratitude. It's a feeling of pure gratitude that you made this. And if others don't connect with it, I completely understand that. I could not show the Holy Mountain to my mother, and that's fine. But it's just such a joy to share this love, and yet recognize that there are things that are wrong, not just with, sometimes films and filmmaking, but the filmmakers. And that kind of reflects the world right now, and it always has, really. So it's so, oh gosh, we could just go on and on, I'm sure, but I need to take a breath and express more gratitude to the both of you for coming on, because we're gonna do this again next year. We just got to think of where to go. Maybe Boonwell, maybe not. We'll see. We'll sort of talk it through, and maybe have a reunion and choose a filmmaker collectively next year together.
Whatever you want to do, I'm down for, because this was a lot of fun.
Yeah, pure
absolutely.
Joy. Thank you both.
Same.
Let's just do the plug-in. Tell everybody where they can find you and find your work, and of course, I'll link to all that in the show notes as well.
Heather, you want to start?
Oh, sure. Well, you can find me and all of my sundry efforts under linktree.com/Mondo Heather. I have a Patreon, I have a website, I have a YouTube. In fact, I just recently did a video essay on how the film Psycho has connective creative tissues to 4 key and very different 1980s music videos.
Wow.
It was so good.
I got to watch that the moment we have
another stellar job, Heather. So good.
Thank you. Oh my God, thank you. And of course, my podcast appearances are on there. I've got an upcoming recording with Mike that I'm very psyched about. That's all I'm gonna say. But it's a movie I never thought I'd get to talk about on Projection Booth, or on any podcast. So we're gonna have a lot of fun with that. But yeah, you can find all of my stuff there. I'm also got a chapter on Mondo Keyhole in an upcoming tribute anthology about the work of Jack Hill called Jack's Exploitation that Head Press is releasing. And shout out to Anthony Taylor for bringing all of us writers together. It is a murderer's row of talent that he got.
Man, I can't wait for that. That's awesome. That's another filmmaker I need to do on the show.
Jack Hill's so good.
Yeah.
And Mondo Keyhole was such a fun film to get to really dive into, because it's not one that it gets talked about a lot because it's earlier work, but it is something else, and it's weirdly sad in parts. I always love it when people can kind of do, like, you're thinking it's going to be like, oh, it's going to be Grindhouse, and then all of a sudden there's like weird surrealist art imagery and angst. People living empty lives and getting kind of like that cold water in the face about it. But anyways, just for all that and more, go to linktree.com/Mondo Heather.
Yay! Can't wait.
And as for me,
into your work. I was just saying, can't wait to dive more into your work, Heather, because I've been a follower and a fan, and I just recently rejoined, similar to you, Mike. I rejoined the Patreon world, and just want to reestablish and check out everything that I can, because I love you. So,
oh, thank you. Well, it's same. It's a mutual admiration society with all three of us, I think.
And Mike.
As for me, everything that I do is over at weirdandwaymedia.com, and that's all of the podcasts that I do, other than the one that I'm doing on Patreon, which is patreon.com/projection booth, and that's Rankin' on Bond, where every month we talk about a different James Bond film, and we're just about done with that. We are recording about No Time to Die, hopefully next weekend. It was supposed to be today, but you know what, I'm really okay if I don't have to watch No Time to Die immediately, because these Craig ones have been pretty rough past Casino Royale. So a lot of this has been pretty rough for me. I have never considered myself a James Bond fan, and after this however many year effort, I would still consider myself not really a James Bond fan. So I'm hoping that we might do I was pushing for a Elvis show where we would just do all of the Elvis films, but I don't know if that's going to fly with my co-hosts. So I would love to talk about Stay Away Joe and the incredible song Dominic the Impotent Bull, but
you did so much, Mike. It's incredible.
I try my best,
including the Chevy Chase side project. And are you still doing the Twilight Zone 80s?
That one is over. We've moved on to Hammer House of Horror. We did.
Wow.
Actually, there's a show, Midnight Viewing, is where we decided we're just going to do horror anthologies. So we started with, I believe, Night Gallery, and then we did. What else did we do after that? But definitely we're on Hammer House of Horror, which is fantastic. So solid, that show.
Really? Okay, I haven't seen that. I gotta.
Definitely check it out.
There's so much to see and not enough time.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks so much to the both of you. This was a blast. Everybody, now everything is going to be over at jimlazkowski.net. It's sort of just my hub that includes this here show and the B-side version of Directors Club, which is called B-Side Me, in which me and my fiance Sharon, we choose a band, and every month we each pick a song, and then we talk about our thoughts on not just the song, but the band. So it's basically like, Directors Club, only band or music club, if you want to think of it that way. So grateful to her. Our next episode is going to be on the Counting Crows.
Whoa.
No, the episodes that we've done so far on that show have been pure delight. It gives us something to look forward to each month, and hopefully that's true of the audience. So yeah, everything can be found at jimlaskowski.net. And next month, returning guests Colin and Carrie of the Christmas Movies Actually podcast will be joining me to talk all about the work of someone that I'm, again, surprised I haven't covered much sooner. And I'm talking, of course, about Harold Ramis.
Ooh,
oh, wow.
Nice.
Yeah. Long overdue. And I just recently rewatched The Ice Harvest, and I'm like, God damn, is that a good movie?
Oh, yeah. That is a great one. Yeah. The book is really good, too. I highly recommend that.
After seeing the movie, I'm like, I want to check out the book, too. Yeah. Great call. Yeah.
Scott is a really nice guy and has a wicked sense of humor.
Excellent. All right. Thanks to the both of you, and thanks everybody for listening. I'll see you in about a month for the Harold Ramis episode. And all right. Thanks, guys. Woo! We did it. Yay!
That was so much fun. Thank you so much.